If I had only known about this program when I was growing up, actually, there's no way that I possibly could have known because it's a fairly new program. It's been around only about 4 years. But if this was around when I was a kid, I promise you my life would have completely been different. The University of Montevallo in Alabama came up with an amazing program. I know I always dreamed of wanting to make a life in the outdoors in some form or fashion. You know, I wanted to be a professional hunter, or I wanted to be a professional videographer. Actually, as a matter of fact, I didn't know that really that was a thing. I just thought somebody who videos is a videographer, and they videoed whatever. It didn't matter what you were videoing. You just work for some movie production or a television network or, whatever. But this program is absolutely amazing for our youth today. So what they do is they actually have this program. It's called the President Outdoor Scholars Program. And William Crawford actually was one of the ones that came up with this program. And it highlights everything that you can do as an individual coming into the outdoor media career field, and it cultivates you and teaches you what you need to know to get into that program. I know that probably several of us out there have kids that, they just dream of being in outdoor media. Well, the great thing about this program is, even if you don't want to be in outdoor media per se, William Crawford will help mold you more towards the marketing aspect, or the more videography aspect, or photography, or business, or whatever. But you still have this engulfment in the outdoors, and it teaches you so much about conservation, and you get to work with amazing individuals. So I hope you really enjoy this show. And man, if you've got an opportunity to look into this program for your kid, if your kids are on fire for the outdoors, definitely look at sending them to the University of Montevallo and just follow along with this program. It is absolutely amazing. So with that, thank you for listening to the Primitive Republic. Real quick, I would like to give a shout out to a company that is near and dear to my heart. It is Switching Camo. Our nation's veterans are at the forefront of my mind all the time. Nothing that we do in this country would be possible if it wasn't for our veterans. So with this company, what they do is they go out and they take a veteran with them on a hunt or on a fishing trip or a rafting trip or whatever, and basically get their mind off of whatever stresses might be going on in their mind. And it's all like-minded individuals that if they want to talk, they can talk. If not, and they just want camaraderie, they can have camaraderie. It's a good group of people, and I absolutely applaud this program. I've personally taken some veterans out on some hunts, and there's a lot of good that comes from it. So see what you can do about supporting Switching Camo in whichever way. Give them a like, give them a follow, and buy a hat from them, or try and support a veteran in some way through them. It's amazing the things that they do, and the giveaways that they give for veterans, and for notoriety and stuff for the veterans. So definitely give these guys a like and a follow. You can find them at switchingcamo.com or Switching Camo on both Instagram, Facebook. So what's your background? Where did this whole idea for the university and I'll just kind of let you carry it, see what happened, put it all on you.
Well, my background has been in higher education since day one. When I graduated college, I worked in the admissions field for a little while, 6 years to be exact, and then moved into the registrar's office and worked with transcripts and transferring of credit, and then moving on the next few years into our university fundraising office and doing that for a couple years. So it kind of, everything that I've done since college, since my first job, has kind of prepared me for this position with the President's Outdoor Scholars Program at the University of Montevallo. The whole idea behind our very unique program came from an ingenious idea by our university president, Dr. John Stewart, who is an avid outdoorsman. A little history on Dr. Stewart. He is originally from Delaware, grew up in the salt marshes, waterfowl hunting, offshore fishing, and even to this day, his father and brother still own charter fishing operations on the East Coast. So, Dr. Stewart had a vision to develop a program that was tied to the outdoors for college-age students. So one day I was sitting in my office and the phone rings, and I look down. Of course, we have caller ID, and it said President's office. And I said, "Great, what have I done now?"
Yeah.
And anytime boss man calls, it's typically not good. But so I answered, and he said, "Hey, I've got a quick question for you." He said, "What do high school age students in the state of Alabama enjoy doing outside of athletics?" And immediately, without thinking, I said, "Hunting and fishing," not knowing where he was wanting to go with this. And when I said that, he said, "That's exactly what I'm thinking. Now let me tell you where I'm getting at." He said, "What if we developed a program that was just tied to keeping students involved in the outdoors while they're in school?" He says, "Do you think it would work?" I was like, "Absolutely. There's too many people here in Alabama, in the Southeast in general, that enjoy the outdoors and hunting and fishing." So it took about 6 months for me to get him to realize that, hey, this thing really could work. And so we sat down a little bit and talked about a format. Nobody has done anything like what we were wanting to do. So it's not like there was a model out there for us to follow. So we sat down and said, hey, we wanted to bring people in from the industry to talk with students on what they do and how they got there, but yet also take these students on different hunting and fishing trips. And I thought that was very important because there were people that I went to school with that and when I say school, college, that I had no idea that were outdoorsmen. They didn't hunt and fish when we were in school. And part of that was because of our rigorous schedule, with myself, my background being a college athlete, playing college baseball. We didn't have a whole lot of time to get out and do the extra stuff. I was fortunate enough that my hunting camp was 10 minutes down the road from where I went to school. Part of the reason why I went to school where I did. But the other people didn't have those same opportunities, and they never talked about it. And it was really at the very beginning of when social media was starting to come about. So it's not like you knew that they enjoyed doing it. It wasn't until after college you would see they'd start posting pictures of their hunting trips and fishing trips and things like that. It's like, hey, I had no idea that they hunted and fished. Well, it made me start thinking that this is a trend that's going around our country. These young people that go off to college, they're so busy. There's so many other things that get their attention, and they may have grown up hunting and fishing, but they're 4 hours away from home. They're taken away from their outdoor playground, so to speak, and not having the access to go to places, or not knowing where to go or what to do, and so they may lose that connection to the outdoors, and then again, they may never come back to it. I mean, I have friends that have gone on and that were very avid outdoorsmen growing up, and I ran into one not too long ago, and he said he hadn't hunted or fished in 2 years, which blew my mind. And he's like, I'm just so busy with work and kids and everything else. So it really hits home to me that it's important for us to keep these young people involved in the outdoors at all stages of their life. And so through our program, the Outdoor Scholars Program, that does that. and with our students, again, taking them on different hunting and fishing trips. I mean, we've been, anywhere in Alabama doing anything, shooting quail, catching bass, deer hunting, turkey hunting, duck hunting. We've even been to some other states, Louisiana. We've been red fishing down in Venice, Louisiana. Duck hunting in Venice as well. We've been to the Bahamas to blue marlin fish. We've got our tags in, keeping our fingers crossed that we'll get drawn for the Wyoming antelope season. So that's something new that's on our plate for this year. So introducing these kids to new outdoor adventures. Most of our students have grown up deer hunting and bass fishing, and that's great. And I think it's important to stay in tune to that. There's so much more out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for us to just keep these students connected is very important. So that's kind of where we started, and growing with what we do. The unique thing is when we started this program, it was 5 years ago, and we had 8 students in our program. And to fast forward, coming into year 5, we're anticipating roughly around 60 students in our program from 6 different states. So it's awesome to see the growth and all that's taking place.
How do you do your recruiting? Because I was just wondering, before we actually started the podcast, I guess I had envisioned like this, coming from college athletics and stuff like that. I would think you would take it like Saban or something like that, and be like, hey, I want the this guy from all these different high schools. But how do you even do your selection process? Because with college athletics, it's fairly easy, right?
For us, again, going back to my connections and my background in college admissions, part of my job in admissions was to go around and travel and go to these programs that were set up for college students to learn about different colleges and different career opportunities. And the biggest thing for us was to segment that group, going into these high schools or extracurricular groups within the high schools, and segment it to where we know that these students are already outdoorsmen. We know these students love to hunt and fish. So that's kind of how we started, was just segmenting out the high school population. And we did that by going and speaking with archery clubs and bass fishing teams. And, what we started seeing is more and more wildlife management courses or things of that nature that were offered through high school curriculum. And so those classes, those students are already segmented for us. So that's kind of how we started doing it. And again, the connections that I had from my world in admissions, it just kind of overlapped. And so that's kind of how we got started. Plus, again, bass fishing tournaments, archery tournaments, all the different kinds of things of that nature. When they go on, you go make an appearance. If you're lucky enough, they'll let you speak and say something. And again, it was so different and so unique that nobody really knew what I was talking about or what our vision was. And that's why, the growth each and every year, it was like people were just fascinated by it. And so, from the recruiting standpoint now, it's changed a little bit. I mean, we still go and speak when people want us to, but social media has played a big part in what we do. And now it's almost to the sense that people are reaching out to us now.
I was about to ask that.
And I actually had a conversation the other day with someone, and I said, they asked, how do you get a student from Maryland? And I said, social media. I said, I never left my office the whole time in recruiting this kid. And for college athletics, it's a little different. They have rules and regulations that can and can't be done, when they can talk to somebody. I have no regulations. I set my own boundaries. So, I mean, it doesn't matter what time of the year it is or what time of day it is or whatnot. I can communicate through various outlets and stuff. So, It's funny that you mentioned Saban because Dr. Stewart, he always refers me to the Nick Saban of the outdoors. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, you your accent and even kind of look a little bit like Dabo Sweeney.
well, Dabo Sweeney is actually from the area about, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes from our campus. So he's not far from where his hometown is.
Well, and maybe that's a good end because Clemson has an absolutely great and okay. So I'm gonna go out and say this, and I'm not a huge Clemson athletics fan. I'm a Florida fan, so I'm gonna catch a bunch of heat for that. But they have an absolutely great agricultural program and stuff like that. That could be an outstanding avenue for sourcing sponsorships or whatever too.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. I'm glad you mentioned them and other institutions that have been around for quite some time that deal with agriculture and wildlife management, bigger research institutions. That's what's so different about our program is that it's not science based. Our students can come in and kind of do a lot of different things. People always say, "What are your students majoring in?" Well, we may have some that are interested in the business model of the outdoor industry. We may have some that are interested in the video production side. We may have some that are interested in the science side, and that's fine. We even have people that come in and want to be a teacher that
Wow.
that go through our college of education, but yet it's a chance for them to possibly be a high school fishing coach or teach some of these wildlife management courses in the high school. So you're starting to see that. So it's not a cookie cutter type program. It's more or less me finding out what their passion is and what their dream job is. That's always the first question I ask a student. What's your dream job, regardless of how you would get there or funding?
Well, and that's a
Resources.
sign of a good educator, really, and that's the way it should be. In my mind, is okay. So, what do you want to do? What are you passionate about? And then, you know, kids are well, anybody. If you're passionate about something, you're going to devote that amount of time and that all of your resources to doing what you're passionate about. And by being an educator and saying, okay, well, what are you guys passionate about? Okay, well, I can start directing you towards, if you're in videography, okay, well, we'll start working you towards the videography and we'll start working you towards the maybe wildlife management aspect of it or whatever. But I think that's really good that you just said, I ask these kids what they want to do. It's not just, okay, well, this is what it
This
is.
is what it
You
is.
don't like it. Oh, well.
Yeah, transfer.
Yeah, exactly.
and what's so special to me is it really hits home to me because I put myself in their shoes when I was in high school. I wanted to do something in the outdoor industry. I didn't know what it was going to be. Didn't know how I was going to get there. Really didn't have any connections to get there, but it was always my dream. That's what I wanted to do, but there was it was like there was no guidance, and so my next step was, well, I can go to one of these bigger research institutions and get a wildlife management degree, and at least I'll be in the outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really not what I wanted. That's not what I did, and I ended up just getting a business degree. And still in the back of my mind, after I got that business degree, I said, well, maybe I can start up a small sporting goods store in a little town and see what happens. Again,
Yeah.
being connected in the outdoors, and who would have known? Fast forward, 10 years, I would be
You're
starting
connected in the
something this.
outdoors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And honestly, kind of where I got my start in the outdoors is through our retriever business. I own and operate a retriever kennel in Montevallo, Alabama, called Silver Banded Retrievers, and that kind of gave me a little taste of it and getting connected. And that's the thing, the outdoor industry is very broad. I mean, there's a lot of different avenues to go down to be in the industry, and it kind of depends on how far you want to take it, how big you want to go. But again, going back to my high school years and not having the guidance and not having, you know, a pathway into the industry. That's what I find and want to share with these students. Now there is a way. Through our program, we can get you there. Our connections, we can help get you there. So it's very important to me to share that with incoming students and their families, and heck, even the folks in the industry have been very responsive and wanting to follow and keeping up with the program and the success of the students. And again, we're just now getting to where students are starting to graduate and getting these internships. We have 2 students right now that have landed internships with Realtree Outdoors.
That's awesome.
And then also with Buckmaster. So, that's our next step. Everything's gone great to this point, but now it's getting these students these jobs and these careers that pertain to the outdoors.
That's going to be, and we had talked at length last night about this. I think that's going to be huge once you're able to show the potential of the program and say, hey, look, this guy, he's an intern with Realtree. I mean, that's like a dream job for any kid who's in the outdoors. I know growing up, I was like, man, that would be awesome to be, a professional hunter or, work for one of these outdoor companies or, something like that. And with this, that's putting their dream together, and so it's a really great thing. The only problem that I can see with this is, what is your availability for the amount of students that you're able to take? Because it seems like you're going to have a whole influx of students that are going to want to go, and what's your acceptance?
Well, in the last couple of years, of course, we've been trying to grow, and we're still trying to get a feel for what that magic number is. And for me, I like it to be relatively small, to where I can get to know the students on a personal basis. That's what, again, another one of the things that I really love is getting to know the students and know their passions and their desires, and help them achieve their goals. And there can be a point where you get too big where you can't do that. And so, we haven't found that magic number yet. And I know, we're anticipating roughly around 60 students for this upcoming year. But, we're getting, unbelievable support from Dr. Stewart, the university. We have our own facility now that we call the Lodge.
That's awesome.
And when you walk in, it's like you're at hunting camp or fishing camp. There's mounts all on the walls. They've got the big TVs. There's couches everywhere.
Cool atmosphere. It seems like I'd love to come down and take a tour.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be awesome.
And anybody that wants to come by, if you're ever traveling through, Central Alabama, we'd love to have you. But you're exactly right. The atmosphere. These students in between classes can come and hang out in there. After classes, they come in. We do a lot of wild game cooking, cookouts, and things with the students. Again, keeping them involved in the outdoors. That's what it's about. Plus, it gives them a little break from the stress of college life and going to classes and projects and tests and everything else in between. And so they really enjoy that. And so we're already, we moved into this new facility right after Christmas, and we're already talking about expanding, for the next year. Because if we bring in more students, we're going to already have outgrown this space and have to continue to grow. So, we're already thinking down the line as far as that goes. But, I don't know just yet what that magic number again is going to be. I ultimately, when we first started, I wanted to get the best and the brightest minds in the outdoors, or who wanted to be in the outdoors, and bring them in and cultivate them and get them where they wanted to be. And whether it's, again, I envision somebody who's like a world-class duck caller, turkey calling champion, or something that's won at the youth age or throughout the years, and bringing them in, or somebody that maybe has a very successful YouTube channel that has been in high school or such. So there's a lot of different avenues again.
Yeah, for the exposure is
And so that's what we're looking at, and that there's so many people that would love something like this. It's just getting the word out, and through podcasts like this and the ones that we do, and our online web series that we have called Outdoor Scholars TV. That's been a great way for us to show people what the program is actually about.
So there's a lot of people that they're going to hear you saying hunting, fishing, and obviously I do a lot of hunting, and my podcast has to do a lot with hunting. Is it only tailored towards hunting and fishing, or is there? I mean, I know personally, and we're here at Poma in Wichita, Kansas. It's not, the outdoors is such a broad spectrum of things. Is your program more specifically just to hunting and fishing, or is it maybe outdoor photography or outdoor writing, that kind of thing, just in general, where maybe somebody could jump in with like REI or something like that?
I would say the force that drives the engine is surrounded around hunting and fishing, but there are other components to what we do. We work with local organizations doing conservation projects. We give back to the community through community service projects. One of the big things that we do every year is take a group of special needs children out fishing for a 3-day
awesome
event, and I think it's important to teach these young people that it's important to give back, regardless of what it may be. But so we do little things like that, and then again, talking about whether it be up and coming outdoor riders or whatnot. Again, if there's a passion there for somebody, we can plug them into something, and that's kind of how the idea of our Outdoor Scholars TV got started. Besides just trying to show people what we do, it gave a hands-on experience to students who are interested in the videography side, the production side of things. And so that's what they do. They travel around with us and film our students on these different outdoor adventures, and then we put it out there in a 10-episode series to document. So these students are getting hands-on experiences and running a camera and helping produce small videos for social media, and so they're almost in a sense getting all this training in a world that there's no training that's done before they get into the industry. It's almost like it's become the minor leagues before you step up into the big leagues, and so they fail on our end and learn from that to where when they go and get a job, not saying that they're not going to fail at something, but they're that much further along in the process. And we've had several television shows, big name shows, that have reached out to us before, and some that we're talking to right now saying, I need a cameraman to go with me to film this, this, and this. I mean, how cool would it be for a young person to go out and follow Michael Waddell around and film?
See that episode on TV. I filmed that.
And we actually have a show, one of our shows in Outdoor Scholars TV, where we had Michael Waddell in part of an auction that a turkey hunt auction that we did to raise money for the program. One of our students followed him around for 3 days in turkey camp.
That's cool.
And had unbelievable footage and everything of the hunts. And afterwards, I asked the student, I said, well, how was it? He said, man, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And that's what we're here to provide.
Yeah, but see, what you're providing is not a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that's going to happen a lot more often, hopefully, with all of the opportunities that you guys are, with the relationships that you're cultivating and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I mean, we're seeing just through Poma, there's so many different types of people. Like one of the guys, Sam, he had Michael or Jim Shockey on his podcast, and Brad Luttrell, and all these different people that really kind of rub elbows with some really big name people that just within that whole community, you guys are able to give a huge leg up for those kids that's their dream.
Yeah, and as I tell them, it's all about connections in this industry. And I know they hear probably their parents or people that are a little bit older say, hear people say that it's not about what you know, but who you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them that's true, but it's even more so the case in this industry. And yes, there may be the outdoor industry may be $1 billion industry, but there's not a whole lot of people when you think about it that are actually working in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very small, tight knit group, and so everybody pretty much knows everybody in some way or form, and that's important to have those connections and that networking available to place these students where they need to go.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what are some of the challenges that you're facing right now?
Probably the biggest challenge is funding. Yes, we raise a lot of money to keep this program afloat, and plus we get financial support from the university to keep things going, but to provide these opportunities for these students, it takes money. And of course, the more students we get, the more money that we need to
and expanding like you're talking about, it's not cheap to. So how do you, real quick, how do you talk your university into devoting X amount of dollars for like a new building or something like that for a program that really is pretty new?
It is, and part of it is goes back to fundraising, and with our new building, it was almost we raised half the funds. The university paid for half the expenses, and so that's what we had to do, give and take a little bit. But the biggest thing is that we're bringing in students that would not be coming to our institution if it wasn't for our program. So they're looking at, well, this student's paying X amount of money over a 4 to 5 year period to get their degree. Well, that's money that we wouldn't have if it wasn't, for them being here. So it's almost the business sense, you got to spend a little money to make some money.
Mm-hmm.
And so they understand that. And with Dr. Stewart, before he got into higher education, he worked in the private sector. And so he understands business. And so, that's helpful. Because you don't always get that at the top of your leadership within higher education.
So how does that work on a university level? Is it the dean or something like? Is he the dean of admissions, or how's?
Dr. Stewart is the president of the university, and so I report directly to him. So there's no middleman in between. So.
Okay, so is there a board? I'm not really sure how the university hierarchy works, but is there like a board or something like that where
there is a board of trustees that oversee the functionality of the university. So any major decisions, and when I say major, like really big decisions, from anything from tuition costs to
adding a new building,
anything like that has to get approval and blessings on their end, and it just kind of trickles down from that.
So have you had any issues with that board of trustees with any of this, or is it just been really cool because Dr. Waddell was like?
Yeah, I mean it's been zero drawback or negativity towards what we're trying to do. Again, it goes back to students, and for us, with students, that it's what pays the bill. Getting students in, so they've seen the growth and what goes on, and plus there's several of our board members that are outdoorsmen, that are hunters, and so they understand that, and plus we've been bringing such a positive light to the university through our program, and plus the success of our university fishing team, that it's been great. Just this year, the Outdoor Scholars program was recognized by Field and Stream as one of the top 10 universities in the country for hunters and anglers.
That's awesome.
And then our university fishing team just finished up an incredible season where we finished sixth in the nation out of about 360 some odd teams. So, that's two things that our program has brought to our university in top tens that wouldn't be getting recognition otherwise. So it's definitely been a positive light for our institution.
Have you guys been working with wildlife conservation agencies like some of the bigger coast to coast guys like BHA or Sportsman's Alliance or anything like that?
We have not. We've reached out to several organizations, and for whatever reason just hadn't been able to make things work. I mean, we work some with our state conservation department and doing a few things, and of course we could do get more done with their help and such. But again, it's just getting the word out there of what's going on, and with these young people, getting them connected, and as anything, it takes time to build these relationships. And I've seen firsthand, even from some of our university alums that have kind of been sitting back on the back burner for the last 4 or 5 years, wanting to see, is this just a gimmick, or is this really true?
Well, I mean, I can understand that,
And so now that they're seeing the success and seeing the university, putting money into something, they're like, all right, well, now I want to put my money into it. And so we're starting to see a little bit of that. And the outdoor industry, we've had some other people come on board and get involved in what we're doing. I know just last year we had Pradco Outdoors, which is kind of the parent company of Summit Tree Stands and Moultrie, game cameras and feeders come on board, and so it's a trickle down effect. We'd love to have anybody come in and be a part and help us get these young people where they want to be and promote the great outdoors.
Well, that's a great selling feature too. If you can say, hey, look, I've got this company involved, and this agency is involved and stuff like that. I think it will help a lot of the bigger companies in making their decision to be like, okay, these guys are involved, so maybe it's less risky. I'd like to get involved.
Well, and one of the things that I like to drive home is you're not just supporting these students and their efforts, you're supporting the next generation of outdoorsmen, but yet also you're supporting the next generation of your employees. Like, you're going to be looking for employees down the line somewhere.
Oh, absolutely.
And these folks are going to be, well manicured people, ready to and hungry to get into the industry, and you could be helping support that.
Right, and they'll have field experience. They'll have, so it's, and I had mentioned this last night. It's almost like a tech program, but with a 4-year degree, where you're actually getting your hands dirty and you're actually seeing what it's like. Your job potential, I think I mentioned this to you, your job potential when you come out of a tech school is like 80% of the people get like a median plus job out of a tech school versus like 30-something% out of a traditional university. And with what you're offering is you've almost got like a tech feel to it, where these kids are just immersed in the industry. And so it's much easier for a company to look from the outside and say, hey, if I'm going to hire, new people coming in, I want to go to a place like this, the only university that does this kind of thing and the only university that has this sort of an education.
Absolutely. You're exactly right.
Yeah. So, well, where can people find you guys? Obviously, University of Montevallo.
Yeah, I mean, we're all, of course, our website, outdoorscholars.montevallo.edu. We're also on the major social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Also on YouTube. We're starting to have a bigger YouTube presence with a lot of the video content. I know that's where we'll be releasing our second season of Outdoor Scholars TV is on YouTube and Instagram TV. So those places can be where you follow us and keep up with all the great things that are going on with our program, or even reach out to us. There's several components again of what we do, and people always want to, how do I get involved? One, we have a guest speaker series. So if there's someone who is in the outdoors, in the outdoor industry, that would love to come and speak with the students, we have about 15 or 16 guest speakers a year that come in and kind of mentor these students through an afternoon with them. That's one way. Another way is if you know a young person that's interested in getting in this industry, have them reach out to us, and we can set everything up to get them to campus and come and check out everything and see if that's really something they want to do. And then thirdly is just their financial contributions, and of course, like I said a minute ago, that's the biggest thing that we try to do is raise more and more funds for these students to get out and enjoy the outdoors and teach them something along the way. So, as I tell people, there's no gift too small. Everything is very greatly appreciated in whatever it is, and even if it's just of someone's time to come in and spend some time with these students is very greatly appreciated.
Oh, good deal. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast, and it's a outstanding product that you guys are coming out with. I mean, that's an amazing educational experience. So,
absolutely.
And I'm definitely gonna have to take a trip down to you guys and visit, do a walkthrough and all that kind of stuff. That would be great.
And again, anybody that wants to come and visit, just hit us up on one of those media outlets, and we'd be happy to have you come and tour the University of Montevallo, an Outdoor Scholars Program there in the central part of Alabama.
All right. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.